I've been in the WWE off and on now for about 10 years. Over that time, I've become known as a risk taker. You know, reckless, crazy, extreme. Every time I've got close to that brass ring, I always miss it. And at No Mercy, I'm not going to be reaching for the brass ring. I'm going to be reaching for your WWE Championship.
Oh, Hardy's going to get it. Swan Kong. Hardy wins. Jeff Hardy wins. From Daredevil to champion. From enigma to icon.
After 10 years of self-destruction, missed opportunities, and a crowd that refused to ever give up on him, Jeff Hardy had finally done the impossible. He was the WWE Champion. To say that Jeff Hardy was over in 2008 would have been the understatement of the century. He was shifting more merch than Cena, and if he ran for president, he probably would have beat Obama. Having Jeff finally win the big one was the perfect way to elevate a beloved veteran into the stratosphere, but unfortunately, it just didn't last all that long. Welcome back to another episode of Rate That Reign, the show where we take a look at a wrestler's world title reign and score it out of 100 based on 5 categories, before placing it in our prestigious Rate That Reign leaderboard. For this episode, we're looking at Jeff Hardy's WWE title reign from the end of 2008 into the very beginning of 2009, as voted on by all of you. If you're new around here and you want to see how your favourite wrestlers get on, then make sure you hit subscribe, because we're only just getting started here. Let's rate that reign. Category 1, the Bookends. First up, let's take a look at how Jeff won the title and how he lost it. Jeff would win his first ever world title with the WWE at Armageddon 2008 in a triple threat match against Edge and Triple H after months of build-up. It all began back at Unforgiven, where he came within seconds of winning the championship scramble match, only for Triple H to steal the victory at the final buzzer and earn Jeff's ultimate respect. He would go on to challenge the game again at No Mercy, coming up short, before begging the GM Vicky Guerrero for another shot at the title at Cyber Sunday, where yet again he would come agonizingly close to the title, but again lose to Triple H. Jeff would eventually earn his way into a triple threat match for the title at the Survivor Series that year, against Triple H and Vladimir Kozlov, who was undefeated at the time, back when he was actually getting pushed as a legitimate threat, and not just having tea parties with Santino Marella. Just before the match was about to take place, JR reported that Hardy had been attacked in his hotel room by a mystery person and therefore could not compete in the match. This led to Vicky Guerrero adding her then husband at the time, Edge, into the match instead, and of course the ultimate opportunist would go on to win the match. After the whole Survivor Series incident, Hardy was furious with both Vicky and Edge and demanded a match against the now champion. Vicky Guerrero would instead set up a beat the clock challenge on SmackDown between Jeff, Triple H and Kozlov to determine who the number one contender would be. And in a brilliant booking twist, both Jeff Hardy and Triple H won their respective matches at the exact same time, thus setting up a triple threat for Armageddon. At the end of what was a very entertaining match, Triple H hit Edge with the pedigree. He had the match completely won, but out of nowhere, Jeff soared through the air, hitting a swanton bomb that took out both men. He shoved Triple H out of the way, pinned Edge, and finally captured the WWE Championship, prompting Jim Ross's legendary call, "From Daredevil to champion, from enigma to icon." This is easily one of the loudest pops from a crowd that whole year, and it signalled that the fans were clearly on board with Jeff being on top. Whilst the title win felt fantastic for the audience to witness, the title loss couldn't have been further from it. At the Royal Rumble 2009, just 42 days after the win, Jeff would be putting his title on the line against the same man he pinned to win it, Edge. The build to this match involved all sorts of bizarre misfortunes happening to Hardy, including his own pyro going off in his face and his car being rammed off the road. The audience all believed that this was the work of Edge, the man he was in an active feud with, but unbeknown to all in attendance that night, the culprit was revealed to be his own brother. Matt Hardy would head down to the ring during the championship match after losing his own ECW title in the opening match that night, seemingly to help Jeff out with a steel chair. However, he turned on his own brother, costing him both the match and the title. The title win felt like an emotional moment where you could see the genuine reaction of Jeff finally hitting the big time, and the title loss was equally as notable, with a shocking turn from his brother, setting up a WrestleMania match in the process. So for the bookends, I'll be scoring Hardy a 17 out of 20. Category 2, in-ring and defences. As with any shorter title reign, this is where Hardy's score will take a bit of a beating. Jeff only held the title for a quick 42 days and managed just 3 televised matches. One was a count-out victory to the Big Show, another was a DQ victory against Kozlov, and the third was a tag team match with his brother Matt. The only title defense he actually made was at the Royal Rumble where he lost the gold, which admittedly was a pretty good match regardless of the interference. Now, although Kozlov and Big Show aren't exactly technically gifted in the ring, these weren't necessarily bad matches, but the DQ and count-out finishes definitely left a sour taste. It would have been nice to see Jeff go up against someone a bit closer to his size and style during his run, maybe like a Brian Kendrick or even a Shelton Benjamin, but instead he always seemed to be David going up against Goliath. I can't rank Jeff too highly here, simply based on the small quantity of matches and defences that he actually had. Hardy gets a 4 out of 20 from me. Category 3, Character and Storylines. Again, due to the short reign, Jeff only really had limited time to develop his character and storylines during his run on top. However, the duration of his reign was anchored by the same overarching story, being targeted by a mystery assailant. It all happened back at Survivor Series with a hotel attack before he even won the belt, but would continue on with the pyro mishap and the car crash angle, ultimately leading to the betrayal at the Rumble. After he lost the belt, the story would get progressively more dark, to the point where Matt admitted responsibility for burning Jeff's house down and even for the death of his dog. It's heavily rumoured that the original plan for this storyline was to have Christian return to the company and be behind all of these attacks, aiding his former partner Edge. But as the internet fans caught wind of this news, WWE panicked and pivoted to Matt instead, just to swerve us all. And instead of that dramatic return to the company, Christian was left with this.
It's Christian!
The confusing part is that Matt was involved in a very personal feud with Edge over his real life affair with Lita just a few years back, so why would he be helping him win the world title now? It wasn't the best storyline in the world, but it was a decent enough angle to sufficiently carry a program to WrestleMania, so I'll be scoring Jeff's storylines and angles a mediocre 11 out of 20. Category 4, Crowd Connection. Now this is where Jeff really earns his flowers on our leaderboard. As mentioned in the intro, Hardy was by far and away the most over wrestler on the roster at this time. All you have to do is look back at some of the footage. You'll see the numerous Jeff Hardy posters, armbands, and even kids with their faces painted. On the SmackDown after he won the title at Armageddon, Hardy would come to the ring to celebrate with the title amongst a sea of screaming fans and a plethora of pyro and confetti, solidifying that he was the top star of his era. Jeff gets an immense 19 out of 20 for crowd connection. Category 5, Legacy. Finally, we look at the legacy. How is this 42-day run actually remembered today? This title reign will always be remembered as Jeff's first time at the top of the card, but nobody would say that it's his finest work with a world title. If you ask most fans about Jeff Hardy's main event peak, they're not going to bring up his quick WWE Championship run. They're going to talk about his legendary World Heavyweight Championship feud with CM Punk later on that summer. But you absolutely cannot ignore what this month and a half represented. This was the moment Jeff officially shattered the glass ceiling. By capturing the WWE Championship, he proved he was a legitimate top guy. This reign was incredibly short and chaotic, but it was the necessary spark that ignited the main event era of his career. So for that, Jeff Hardy gets a 13 out of 20 from me. The final tally. So adding up all the scores for all 5 categories, Jeff Hardy's WWE title reign gets a score of 64 out of 100. Just a few points shy of Kevin Owens at the top spot of our leaderboard. As previously mentioned, Jeff would go on to feud with Matt, culminating in a really good I Quit match at Backlash that year, before heading into the summer of 2009, embroiled in an all-timer of a program against CM Punk. I'm sure we'll be covering that at some point down the line, but for now, Jeff takes his rightful place on the Rate That Reign leaderboard. Who would you like to see featured next? Give me your suggestions in the comments and let me know how you would have rated this reign. Thanks for watching and be sure to hit subscribe. Thank you.